Scott Riggs is the pole sitter, and Darrell, you think he is the odds-on favorite. Explain that.
Well, his wife just had the baby, and I tell you, after we have 2 children, I want to race after both of them, and I always felt much better. I got over my morning sickness, and I was able to get up and do my job a lot better than I had been up to that point. So I put my money on that man tonight, number 10.
Top Bodine, we saw double dipping. Now, Darrell, we've talked about what a beautiful facility this is. Let's talk about the racetrack itself.
Well, it's a beautiful racetrack. I get so tired of hearing about cookie-cutter racetrack. Every racetrack has its own personality. You know, these D-shaped mile-and-a-half ovals, every one of them are different. The thing that makes this one unique is you can race side by side here. We got 2 very distinctive grooves. We got a nice wide turns, nice wide travel here. You're going to see some great racing tonight. Some of the best Busch racing we've seen all year long.
Is there a place these guys attack the track where we'll see a lot of passing?
Well, I think what you're going to see is going into turn 3, get a nice run off of turn 2, and get under a guy going into 3, and then out of 4 here. The way the track kind of comes up out of 4, it got a great transition, doesn't just dump you. You can come up out there, get a nose under a guy, and out drag him down the front here into turn 1.
43 drivers in tonight's field as we have yet another flyby. You can never go wrong with a flyby.
Oh, no. We may have multi-flybys before it's over with. Originally, it was a mini flyby. Now this is a multi-flyby. And then we may have the grand finale flyby.
Larry Gunzelman, the last starter this evening in the field. A beautiful day.
Yes, it is. And calm down, Larry, calm down. I'm not going to do it. This is your deal. I just want you to know we got the numbers. Air temperature, track temperature. Even got to how fast the wind's blowing there. You'd love that. Look at the humidity. Oh, and Larry, tonight, these cars are going to make incredible horsepower because of that low humidity.
And I want Larry Mack to know I have my calculator here. I can do fuel mileage.
And then, Larry, by the way, we did check the temperature of the grass, Larry, and it's 74 degrees as well as, it's the same as the ambient temperature.
Should we mention again that he records the Weather Channel?
Oh, yeah, he records everything that happens on the Weather Channel. They send him a diploma or a document of some kind because he's
an honorary degree.
Yeah, honorary degree because he's a huge student of the weather.
On board with Johnny Sauter, the Oreo's onboard camera, the number 2 car.
Awesome sight. 75,000 people on their feet waving to the drivers as they go by.
Hermie Sadler looking at the crowd. Cameras, flashbulbs popping.
I think you're going to see some really great racing, folks. As you watch these guys come down the back straightaway back there, you'll see that we've got 5 very distinctive lanes to be able to drive in and pass in. And Burns?
Yes?
It's a Saturday night. Getting ready to do a little honky-tonking. You ever done any honky-tonking?
I have.
Yeah, well, we're getting ready to do a little here in Kentucky.
I hear you, brother.
I believe we got a blue moon out tonight.
Lights are off. You know what that means, atop the pace car.
Once in a blue moon or a blue moon of Kentucky.
Yeah.
These boys are coming around. Right now the crew chiefs are talking to them. Said, all right, check all your gauges, all your switches up, all your coolers on. Shake her around a little bit, get a little air pressure built up, get a little heat in those tires. Reach down, get a hold of those seat belts. Don't forget your pit road speed, 4,500 in second gear. Pace car off. We're coming down to take the green flag. Get ready, get ready. Get ready. Go, go, go. Boogity, 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 boys. Take her into turn 1.
Scott Riggs with a great job. He'll lead Sauter down the backstretch, followed by Sprague, Keller, Todd Bodine, and Larry Voigt.
And, buddy, they're already 3 wide all the way back to about 10th, 11th, 12th, 15th place. Car goes high down in turn 3 and 4. Got a car around backwards in the wall over in turn 3. It's the 91 car.
Stanton Bear to the 91. Caution is out.
Looked like he just got in there a little on the high side, and the back end came around on the 91 car. Stanton Barrett, Hammond might be able to give us some input into that car. I think he's been helping those guys a little bit.
Stanton just won some awards for Hollywood stunt work.
Yes, his father, great stunt man. You know, he's friends with Hal Needham, and actually drove some himself. Stan Barrett.
He drove that car before Harry Gant did.
He did. He drove his Gold car before. He didn't even call the Rocket Man. Yeah, he just goes around all by himself. I think there was a lot of racing going on back into the pack there. Got to be patient on these opening laps. Tire pressures are down. You've got to give the thing a chance to come to you.
And Barrett to the garage area. Heavy damage to the rear of that number 91 car.
Well, that's too bad. Out early, but got a chance to fix it. Maybe get back out and pick up some points.
Scott Riggs leads the field.
Now you'll watch, there'll be a lot of guys trying to squeeze between the way you come off of turn 4 here, and you can see what I'm talking about. See how they kind of fan out. You can only pass to the right side, and there's enough room off of turn 4 here that you leave that outside open. Somebody's going to get out there and get by you. Once one car gets up alongside the guy on the inside, kind of hung out. Guys are racy, I know that. Everybody looks like they're really pushing the issue early.
Boy, and Ron Hornaday has jumped up into the second position right behind Scott Riggs, and there's Biffle alongside McMurray.
Horday's done just a great job since he got in that Dr. Pepper car. I mean, he has really turned that around. Sat on the bow at Charlotte. Had some great runs.
Riding with Greg Biffle. Biffle listed in the 7th position. Telling me the track is so wide and so smooth that they can actually pass. They can get down on the apron, and there's very little difference between the apron and the racetrack itself. So smooth. Jason Keller in the 57, right behind Biffle. Larry Foyt there in the 14. Alongside Jamie McMurray. This is onboard Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, I tell you, Steve, I think he just got in there, realized there was nowhere to go. The hole was closing up. Had to lock it up a little bit, get on the brakes, and around it came. And then the restart here, you'll see that 26 car
on the high side.
Pepper car. He just got a great run. He anticipated the start, got a little run on the outside, and buddy, he took off
and kept that momentum up.
He really did.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25, Ricky Hendrick in the 5, Randy LaJoie in the 7 car. LaJoie posted 12th.
I've been told that 5 car is on a rail. I've been told to kind of keep an eye on him tonight. They really feel good about their chances.
LaJoie underneath Hendrick. Casey Mears in the 66 did a great job at Nashville last week.
Boy, he really did. Qualified on the front row. Little Dodge. He's coming around for him. Where you see Ricky Hendrick in the 5 car. He and Jack Sprague are teammates, and I think Ricky's getting better each week. You know, he broke his shoulder at Las Vegas, had to sit out for a while, but I think he's starting to come back to him. Takes a little time, even when you're a kid like he is, to get back in the groove.
Yeah, he's making just his 25th career start in this series.
They ran the truck series all last year, and then they moved up to he and Sprague both into this Busch series, and boy, I just can't tell you how impressed I've been with Jack Sprague this year in this Busch series. Coming in here, learning the cars, leading the points, winning a race. Pretty awesome.
Scott Wimmer, the 23, driving for Bill Davis. Right behind Ron Hornaday. That's a battle for second. Wimmer has 2 straight top 10s, 4th at Dover, 7th at Nashville.
Oh, yeah, another young kid that's doing a really good job. Had some great runs here lately for Bill Davis in the 23 car.
Well, Scott Riggs is out front. He's been there a lot this evening, but Ricky Hendrick is right behind him, DW.
I tell you, Ricky is... Now, that's Yates power against Hendrick power right there. And it looks to me like that 5 car's got as much steam up under it as the 4 does. Getting a good run here. Let's see if we can look down on the inside. Nah, not this time. 3 wide racing all over the place. And I'm feeling you right now. They got it going on back in here.
Darrell said, Ricky Hendrick. Oh, it's with Scott Wimmer underneath Ron Hornaday.
Now, Hornaday, you know, fell back when he made contact there with another car earlier. Just fought his way back up into contention here. obviously no damage to his car. We saw him sliding up the hill earlier in the run.
We're in 6th, Hornaday 7th, just behind him. Wimmer trying to win his first Busch Series race for Bill Davis, making his 52nd NASCAR Busch Series start this evening. Mike McLaughlin just behind them in that black 18 car, on board with Mike. McLaughlin came in here 8th in points this evening. Todd Bodine underneath him, Darrell.
Yeah, it looks like you can get a good run off turn 4, drop that nose down underneath the guy here about to start-finish line, and then just root him up out of the way getting down into turn 1. That kind of seems like the hot tip. Oh, no. Guess what?
Oh, trouble on the 5 car. Oh.
I think she was too good. It's too good to be true. You know what they always say about that. If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
It usually is.
Oh, you know what? You know what I believe happened to him? I think he had ignition problem. He just got it switched over, Matt.
DW, you are exactly right. Ricky came on the radio. He says, I've switched over the boxes. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And all of a sudden he goes, it just cranked. It just fired. There we go.
Well, he passed a lot of cars to get to the front. See if he can do it again.
There he goes. There's one.
He's going to have to be careful. I'm sure he'll be on a mission now. It's all the way back.
The 34th, from 2nd to 34th in a blink of an eye.
But the car is really fast. It's going to make it a little more difficult for him, but he's still in the race.
Now, he's 22 years old. Is it going to be hard for him to be patient with a race car that's good?
Oh, that whole team is real young. He's a young kid, and that whole team is real young. They'll need to just harness him a little bit right here now. Tell him to be patient. Got a long way to go. We've only run 50 laps, so we still got 150 to go.
Let's take a look at what happened to Ricky here moments ago on board with Greg Biffle.
Boy, he's lucky he didn't get run over.
I think that was Sauter right behind him.
I believe it was the 21 car.
Yep.
When you slow all of a sudden like that, the guy behind you you're lucky you don't get run over. Everybody was on their toes.
Underneath Christian Elder.
And of course, what happens to you is you're the driver of the fast car, Ricky Hendrick. I mean, your first thought is something happened to the motor, and you're not about to let go and wave your hands or anything else till you figure out what's going to happen next.
He's back up to full song now. Meanwhile, at the front, Scott Riggs in the 10. Got his hands full with Jay Sauter and Jason Keller. Sauter started this race from the pole last year and finished 9th.
Well, that 21 car, it's bad to the bone every week. He's up there. It doesn't matter if Jeff Green's driving it or Jay Sauter's driving it. That thing is up there challenging for the lead.
And I think we ought to give Butch Hilton and that team a lot of credit. Darrell, that's tough to set up a car for 2 different drivers.
Yeah, and the thing that really makes a good race car is when you consistently are in the front all the time. You hit the Hammond package right every week.
And I believe they've only qualified outside of the top 10 once this year.
I think
Jeff and
of course, the 57 car, it's another one that's, he's a championship contender. And he's another guy that's usually right on every week. He and the 10 car. That whole group there with the 10 and the 57 are very impressive.
Speaking of impressive, look at Greg Biffle 3 wide.
Biffle caught these guys kind of racing each other there and took advantage of it. Dropped to the inside, made the pass.
Keller up underneath Jay Sauter.
That's what I'm really liking about the track, Steve, is that Biffle got a run off a 2 over there. They were side by side in front of him. He dropped it down on the inside 3 wide and was able to drive off into the 3rd turn without any incident.
Jeff Hammond on Ricky Hendrick.
Darrell, you're not going to believe this. Ricky Hendrick's been making his march back up through the field to try to get back up to the front. But his father, Rick, called him and told him, hey, bud,
you win this race tonight, I promise you, you'll get a chance to run a Winston Cup car this year. That's the big incentive for a young man. Would you say?
It really is. I know they'd like to see him run some Cup races. The plan all along was with Ricky was to run him a year in the trucks, a year or two in the trucks, move him up to the Busch Series, and then hopefully and eventually into the Cup Series if he proved that that's what he wanted to do. And I think he's proven that tonight and on other occasions.
Greg Biffle just flies by Jason Keller for the lead in the turn 3. On board with Biffle, looking back towards Jason Keller.
No, Biffle, he likes this racetrack, you know, and it's a good track for him. He gets out front, gets that clean air on the nose of that Ford car. It'd be hard to deal with.
Boy, Biffle's been on a serious roll. I mean, you talk about Big Mo. The last 3 weeks, he was second at Charlotte. He won at Dover, finished third at Nashville, and could have won that race.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm sure he's disappointed with some things that happened to him that have taken him out of the points chase for a while. But, you know, the season's just barely not quite to halfway yet. He can fight his way back into this thing, which is one thing you can say about Greg Biffle. He is a fighter.
He is a fighter. He's aggressive, and he doesn't mind letting the rough side drag.
Now, Kevin Harvick may not think he's a fighter, but I think he is.
I would say so. Todd Bodine in the 92 by Jason Keller for second.
Boy, that Oreo cake I had there a little bit ago, the ice cream sure was good. Oreo cake, Oreo ice cream.
You know, this is the birthday of Oreo. I've never seen you eat an Oreo cookie. Are you the kind of guy that unscrews the cookie, or, you know, do you eat it?
Well, little girls have pretty curls, but I like Oreos. But double stuffs are nice, you know. You take them apart and get all the...
You do take them apart.
Yeah, I take them apart. Then I dip the cookie part in my milk. Sarah, Caitlin, and I, we like to do that. Sit and watch Scooby-Doo,
Arthur,
Winnie the Pooh, Arthur and D.W., SpongeBob SquarePants, or SpongeBob with SquarePants.
With SquarePants.
Whatever his name is. Whatever. What car does he drive anyway? If they don't have a car and a number, I don't know.
He won't fit. He won't fit.
Hey, a couple of guys that just keep, you know, hanging in there. That 87 car is up to 7th. And, hey, another guy, the 19 car is up to 12th.
Tim Sauter.
So the Sauter boys are having a pretty good night. And I'm not even going to try to tell you which one's which.
That's Tim.
I got all messed up last week doing that.
Tim underneath Brian Vickers in the 40. Vickers graduated from high school just before Charlotte. Tony Raines in the 33 just behind Sauter. Well, you're right. There's racing everywhere.
Oh, yeah. They get little groups, kind of like when you drive down the interstate. You get little packs, little clusters. I haven't seen any wads. Haven't had any real big wads, but I have seen some clusters tonight.
And look who's in the middle of that mini wad.
Yeah,
Ricky Hendrick.
And he's trying to work his way by these cars. He's got a fast hot rod, I'm telling you.
Boy, Ricky Hendrick on the move. Dropped the 34th with an ignition problem.
There he goes.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. at 25 alongside Jack Sprague. The battle for 5th. Nemechek in the 87 just behind him.
Knowing Wanky in that crowd the way I do and the way that car's been running, I would think Bobby Jr. would just be really, really tough here before the night's over with.
I believe Jeff Hammond has some kind of a weather forecast.
He does?
Yeah. Steve, there.
Oh, cars in the wall.
Car in the wall.
Couple of cars.
That's Jack Sprague.
Oh, man.
The points leader, Jack Sprague.
Oh,
there he hits the wall.
He come out of the grass.
Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s involved.
Many.
Ashton Lewis. The 46, Ashton Lewis Jr. Lap 82, caution out for the 5th time.
I don't know what Hammond was going to say about the weather, but we just had us a little storm here off of turn 4, bud.
Oh, Larry Foyt was having a great run in the 14 car.
Got down in the grass, and when the car came out of the grass, it turned and went straight up the wall, up the track into the outside wall. That's what happened to a couple of those cars.
Let's take a look at what happened, DW.
Coming off turn 4 here, 25 car gets a run up on the outside. Ooh. Something happened to Sprague. The car just jumped straight over to the right, got into Bobby Jr. Heavy damage to both those cars, and then these other cars are just taking evasive action. They get down in the grass. Looks like somebody else got into the side of Bobby Jr. there, and then the 14 car just comes up. Here he comes up out of the grass here, and Ashton Lewis just spun around.
Yeah, once he got traction on the pavement.
His car's okay.
Boy, Larry Foyt, tough luck. Trouble for our points leader, Jack Sprague. Bobby Hamilton Jr. also involved.
Just got sucked into somebody else's bad luck. That 24 car was down underneath. 25 got outside. I believe must have sucked that 24 car around just a tad. Then he got up into the side of Bobby Jr. and we had us a little storm down there in turn 4.
Todd Bodine on pit road, followed by Joe Nemechek, Scott Wimmer, Ricky Hendrick. Hornaday in the 26, Casey Mears behind them. A lot of cars hitting pit road. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
And Steve, you can already feel some of the sprinkles hitting as a 92 car Rambo, Tony Liberati, on top of the pit box. One of the only cars to pit. And he just says, oh man, here comes the rain. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. A half a pound out of the right front, no wedge, a 4-tire change as well. As Sean Haggerty comes around to the left front. One of the veteran jackmen, one of the fastest guys on pit road, David Hatfield. A couple of pumps, he gets ready to drop it as Haggerty hits the lug, and he's down and away to Jeff Hammond.
24 car here right now has got severe damage to both sides of the race car. The guys are trying to pull everything away so he can get him back on the racetrack. As you were saying a minute ago, Matt, it's starting to rain, but the 24 car has got some severe damage. The steering wheel, Jack has reported, is off crew chief Dennis Connor. So these guys are going to have a tough night to try to get this car to finish the race very well.
Welcome back to the Kentucky Speedway. We're in Sparta, Kentucky, trying to dry the racetrack out. Let's take a look at the action we've had so far this evening, and DW, you've had a lot of it. Bad luck for Hank Parker. He gets a tap from Johnny Sauter, and around he goes.
Yeah, hard contact. Glad to see him get out of that car all right.
That happened on lap 32. Then contact between Mike Wallace and a hard hit. Mike McLaughlin into the wall. McLaughlin came in here in the top 10 of points, but a short night for him. Greg Biffle in the 60. He's your leader right now. There he goes by Jason Keller. Then on lap 82, Jack Sprague into Bobby Hamilton Jr. hits him twice.
That's a classic when we talk about a car pushing loose. Jack Sprague's car, that's a classic push loose. First it pushed, he turned into it, and then the back end jumped out from under him.
And then while we were under caution, the heavens unloaded.
We had a deluge.
A downpour.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Kentucky Speedway, where unfortunately it is raining hard once again. And DW, we've just received word that NASCAR has officially postponed the remainder of this race until 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, the rain is incredible here, Steve. I mean, it doesn't just sprinkle or drizzle. It comes down in buckets. That comes down in barrels. Look at it. It just, out of nowhere, it just starts pouring down.
Greg Biffle again the leader, followed by Jason Keller, Jay Sauter in that third spot.
There's my teammate Tony Raines of Base Motorsports. He's sitting in 5th.
In the 11th spot, Mark Green. He takes over the ride of Stacy Compton. He goes on to Michigan. Green will go to the back of the pack to restart this race.
Scott Riggs sitting there in 14th spot right now. They made a major chassis adjustment just before the rain came out last night, so I look for him to move up.
David Ruderman, the number 87, Joe Nemechek started the race. Ruderman practiced and qualified it for Nemechek, though. He might be in pretty good shape.
Bob Bodine sitting there in 26. We're told he's really quick. We'll have to watch him.
Jack Sprague now after the wreck, 31st. Bobby Hamilton, 35th. And we have 6 drivers currently out of this event. Let's go back down to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mark, as you said, some of the cars did come down pit road. A couple of those were the number 7 car of Randy LaJoy. Randy was running 8th, but he came down pit road. I don't know exactly where he came back out on the track yet. They had a good pit stop, but he's got a problem. He developed a miss in the engine last night. Actually, they've had it all weekend. They changed carburetors before the race. The car still misses as he comes up off the corner. He says he has a good car. It drives really good, but he's hurting on power. Also, the number 21 car, who has run so strong all night, of Jay Sauter, he has a communications problem. The push-to-talk button on his radio will not work. He can hear the crew. They cannot hear him, so he will not be able to tell them what the car's doing. That is big.
You know, a lot of times what happens when you have a big rain like what we had last night, if they don't get the radios out of the car immediately, water comes in the car, just like leaving your window down in your passenger car. Electronics don't like the water.
Mike Wallace is now taken over the lead after that series of pit stops. He'll be followed by Kevin LePage, that bright yellow and orange Sequoia Chevrolet right behind him. Then his teammate, Jamie McMurray. Scott Riggs, some great pit strategy there. They pitted before the red flag, and they thought they'd be in good shape after all the other pit stops, and they were. They're up to the 4th spot with now Johnny Sauter in position 5. You see there, again, the work continuing on the Net Zero Chevy of the point leader, Jack Sprague, and he's certainly in danger of losing the point lead back to Jason Keller after this event, after the problems he suffered last night. And they've had a pretty good little thing going back and forth, neither one able to grab hold of that number 1 spot in a solid way.
Well, when we went and looked at the cars this morning, he's in a lot better shape than Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s in. So you can tell his car's not that bad, although it's not real pretty right now. He's able to get out there and not lose a lap, where Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s in there, and they've got a lot of work to do just to get back out to get some valuable points.
Brett McMillan, what do you got?
The 60 car came in. 60, of course, was the leader. Greg Biffle stayed out on the track last night. One of the big reasons they did is because they were haunted by what happened to them in Texas this year. Thinking back to Texas in the Busch race, it was a situation where the rain was coming. They thought the race might restart, came in and pitted, and instead the race never restarted. Jeff Purvis ends up winning the race that way. So for Greg Biffle, they stayed out hoping the race would get halfway. It did not, so they had to come in and pit, give up track position. Mark?
What's ironic about that is that the man on the point right now, Mike Wallace, he had the right strategy at Texas. He was the leader, and then NASCAR said 1 to go. He went to pit road. The rains came back. Jeff Purvis gets the victory, and that was the only laps Purvis had led on the season to that point. 6 under caution, he gets a win. How would you like to be able to do that, Chad? 6 laps of caution, and you win.
It only matters who leads the last lap. That's what it comes down to. See, NASCAR has a rule that says once we've run halfway, whether it's a 500-mile race or a 300-mile race, the race is official. The race could be called for rain. It could be called because the lights go out at a night race. So the strategy comes in, if they see rain, they want to come in and pit. That way, when the track's dry, they're in the front. The other side of the coin is, if they don't pit and the rain doesn't come, boom, they've got it.
Pace cars off the racetrack. We're getting set to restart this event. After these caution flag laps, they cross the line on lap number 90. 10 laps to go to halfway in an official event. And, of course, then 100 laps more to the finish as we are under green again. Jamie McMurray jumps it to the outside of his teammate Kevin LePage going into 1.
Mark, we forgot one thing. Boogity, boogity.
Oh, you're Darryl Double. That's right. Maybe you only said it twice. It's boogity, boogity, boogity.
Oh, well, I can't copy him completely. Plagiarism.
Mike Wallace still with the lead. There's the teammates from Bruco Motorsports still locked side by side. LePage on the bottom, McMurray on the top, and right now Scott Riggs looking for some running room to the inside. Looks like he'll make it 3 wide.
Now, from most of the drivers we talked to this morning in the garage area, they commented on the trickiest part of this racetrack is getting into turn 1. There's the start-finish line you see as they drive down into here to turn 1. It's not like a lot of tracks this size where you can race really hard side by side. So you got to kind of tiptoe through turn 1, and then you can get going and race. What we need to watch now is if the track's real green, there won't be a lot of side-by-side racing for a while. It'll take probably a tire cycle to get the outside groove worked in, and that'll be evident here real soon.
There's the inside look from Johnny Sauter's AC Delco Chevrolet, currently 5th, started in the 32nd position. Up ahead, Scott Riggs looking to the inside of Jamie McMurray. This is a battle for the 2nd spot at the stripe. McMurray will hold on to it, but he's still under assault as they move down to the inside of turn number 1. And Chad, do you think the drivers right now will tiptoe a little bit the opening 10, 15, 20 laps here just to feel out the racetrack?
I know I would. I'd probably tiptoe for at least 10 or 15 laps and, see how your tires are working, see if the track really is as green as they say it is. And what we mean by when we say a green racetrack, The rain comes in, washes off a lot of the rubber that sits there in between the asphalt aggregate. What that does is you don't get as much grip then with new tires. Now remember also, because we're just starting the race, they're low on air pressure right now, which is another reason to kind of tiptoe through this.
Let's go back to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, guys, we're talking about those guys that are tiptoeing, and one of those that I thought would and is not is the 10 car of Scott Riggs. Now, that car was very, very loose last night. He was the pole sitter. He took off early, but then the car got so loose he couldn't drive it. Chad, you said they'd made a lot of adjustments on the car. They have, but I really thought that he might have to tiptoe. It's warmer today. I thought the track might free up a little bit, but also the rubber's been washed off of it, so looks to be to his liking now. He is running down the leader, Mike Wallace.
What they did then is Harold told me they decided to disconnect the rear sway bar. They usually don't run a rear bar. PPC Racing doesn't. They tried one in happy hour. They liked it. The car was good. They started with it, and it was just too loose for them. That's why that one pit stop took a lot longer for them. They fell back to 14th, but they felt they had a good car, and it's showing.
There's a good battle for 7th. Todd Bodine followed by Ashton Lewis Jr. There you see Greg Bill looming large. And so is Scott Riggs. He drives to the inside of Mike Wallace, trying to retake the lead. And it looks like he will. Moving down into turn number 1. So Scott Riggs, who started on the pole, dominated the early part of this race, dropped to the back a little bit back to started 14th on this restart. And then, of course, we had the caution. The cars come in here under the caution pace laps early on, and so that improved his track position quite a bit. And it didn't take long for him to reassert and muscle his way back to the front.
You know, I'm not sure tiptoeing really is the right term to use in this situation, because Riggs right now, he is going for it. Now, you know, and really, you know, tiptoeing sounds like you're kind of being careful. The drivers know how good their car is working, and if it's working good, they're going to go for it right off the bat.
Scott Riggs continues to lead the Kroger 300. But Greg Biffle has chopped the 3.4-second lead down to 2.7 seconds. So with those fresher tires, he is certainly on the move now, working his way around David Ruderman, who took over the 87 for Joe Nemechek today. He has gone a lap down to leader Scott Riggs, and now the second-place car of Greg Biffle continuing to try to reel in leader Scott Riggs, who has been at the point of this race 3 times so far, starting yesterday and now here this afternoon. Out of the race, Kevin Grubb just a moment ago, the engine letting go on that car. As you see, Jason Keller now back there battling for the 10th position with Johnny Sauter. Also Jay Sauter there, his older brother. There's a look outside from the inside of the Johnny Sauter machine. Currently 10th, started 32nd. And what about Ricky Hendrick? That young rookie driver has certainly got over his injuries from Las Vegas, and it seems like the last few weeks he's really started, Chad, to get himself on a bit of a roll.
Well, we're going to do a pre-race pick, you know, and I know it's after the fact. It's really not fair, but I'm going to have to slide Ricky Hendrick in there to be my pre-rain race delayed pick.
Yeah, nice to pick it after you see him moving up through the pack. Yellow flag is out. It is for Dan Pardis, who spun, and we see a lot of tape flying off the Net Zero Chevrolet of Jack Sprague, and we hear that he caught a piece of the wall as well. So there's the outdoor channel car of Dan Pardis. He brings out this caution flag. I believe that is number 6 on the race. We had 5 last night, the red flag, and 1 here so far this afternoon. And Jack Sprague, his troubles continue. Both he and Pardis were able to drive away.
I think the rest of the field is going to be grateful for this caution flag too, because the 10 car and the 60 car were coming real strong, and it wasn't going to be too long where they were going to start putting about 25th place a lap down.
So Scott Riggs has caught up to the pace car. That's certainly good news for Greg Biffle. He was already closing in on Scott Riggs. It'll be interesting to see what happens on the restart, as Biffle was slowly but surely, he wasn't, you know, chewing up big chunks of real estate between himself and the leader, but he was slowly inching his way to the front.
I don't think we'll see people pit right now unless they're having problems, because we saw pit stops just 20 or 30 laps ago. However, what did happen is before the rains came last night, there were several cars. There was about 8 of them that pitted about 15 laps before the rains came. And I think what we will see is those guys coming in right now.
And they will be led by the leader, Scott Riggs. He'll give up the number 1 spot. Mike Wallace comes on the pit road as well. So does Jamie McMurray, Tony Raines, Kerry Earnhardt, Casey Mears, along with Scott Wimmer and a host of others. 45 miles per hour, making their way down the pit lane. And he, right now, in front of the 10 cars, Glenn Jarrett.
Scott Riggs brings the 2-car in, guys. They're going to change 4 tires. They want to take every opportunity they can. There was a lot of discussion between the crew chief, Harold Holly, and Scott as to whether they should pit now. There are about 81 laps left, and their pit window is about 75 to 78 laps, so they may be able to stretch this. 4 tires, a slight chassis adjustment. Actually, the car had gotten a little snug in the middle of the corner then, so they're still working on Scott's car.
So Scott is down and away. That turns the lead back over to Greg Biffle. Back at the Kentucky Speedway, 122 laps are now complete. The race is restarted. Greg Biffle gets a big jump on the second-place car of Todd Bodine, and that leaves the third-place machine of Ashton Lewis Jr. mired back there in a little bit of traffic trying to break out so he can try to chase down the 2 lead machines. Biffle continuing to dominate this race. He had the lead, of course, when we had the red flag and the rain last night. Here's Johnny Sauter now looking to the inside of Ricky Hendrick. As they battle down the backstretch, his brother Jay Sauter there providing a little drafting help as Ricky sort of hung up on the outside right now. There you have Kevin LePage, again, that yellow and orange machine. LePage running in the 5th spot, being challenged by Johnny Sauter, Ricky Hendrick, among others. There's the Oreo in-car camera for Johnny Sauter, passing the wounded Net Zero Chevy of Jack Sprague. That thing is looking worse and worse every lap. The tape's flying off now.
Definitely battered and bruised. Mike Wallace is going to try to take advantage of him, too, as far as getting a little draft out.
Did a nice job squeezing down there in front of Ricky Hendrick and in front of Jay Sauter, sort of eye through the needle there, but it looks like Sauter will come back and take a peek to the inside. Again, the string of cars battling for the 5th spot being held by Kevin LePage. Again, that is the bright yellow and orange Sequoia Chevrolet out in front of that 5th place battle right now. A lot of cars closing in. Scott Riggs is right there after the pit stop. Here's the battle for the lead. Todd Bodine is catching Greg Biffle. Biffle saw one slip away last week. May get beat in the closing stages again. Here is Bodine. He is there on the back bumper of the Granger Ford.
This is as they're driving into turn 1, folks. 11 laps to go. Todd's on a little bit higher line, as you see there. It gives them a better run coming off the corner. Biffle's not about to give up the position, though. They touch pretty good down the straightaway. It's not over yet.
Again, a little bit of door-to-door tag down the back straightaway. Todd Bodine, side by side with Greg Biffle. This is the battle for the lead and perhaps the victory. Bodine looking for his first win on the season. And that's Herzog Motorsports, Excedrin Chevrolet. And again, out the in-car camera from Greg Biffle. See how close these 2 are running. 2 distinctly different lines. Bodine trying to overpower him on the outside.
And he did. That time he was able to keep his momentum up through turns 1 and 2. Get back into the gas, get a little bit more speed going, and he's carried it on down the back straightaway. You can see now that that second group definitely has come in, and we have ourselves a great racetrack. 2-wide racing isn't a problem, as you saw. Bodine there complete the pass on the outside. This will probably be for the win.
Biffle closing in. Todd Bodine made the choice, hey, I'm not going to Michigan. I'm staying here to win this race. He's making good on that vow. As again, Biffle really grinding hard to the bottom of the racetrack, but Bodine has got that car set up for the outside groove, and he's starting to inch away, and we have just 9 laps to go.
You always like to see a racetrack when you can drive into the outside like that. The car sticks, and he's making the second groove work.
Now you see Biffle climbing up the racetrack a bit. Do you think he maybe will take a look at that afterwards?
I sure would. You know, if you just see a guy pass you on the outside, you've got this few laps to go, 8 laps to go, as we can see. He's going to try the outside, and maybe it'll free his car up enough.
Certainly nothing to lose. Todd Bodine, 2 top 5 finishes the last 5 races. Finished 5th at the Lowe's Motor Speedway, last Super Speedway event, on a track of similar size. And Bodine now working his way around a lapped automobile, starting to pull away. You can tell he's feeling it right now. He's in the groove and beginning to pull away even more from Greg Biffle, who has to be extremely frustrated. Second week in a row, he could have walked away with 2 checkered flags, and he'll walk away with none.
You know, Biffle and that 60 Roush team, they're not happy with second place. They want to win the race. They want to win all the race and lead the most laps. So you're right. He's not going to be happy with this, especially getting past with just a few laps to go.
Todd Bodine did not take part in the first Busch Series race here at Kentucky a season ago. Of course, running on the Winston Cup Series. So Bodine has now worked up a lead over Greg Biffle to 0.6 of a second. We see problems for Hermie Sadler. That is the fourth, make that the fifth car that has blown it in.
That also brings out a caution, which means this will probably be a 2-lap shootout when it's all said and done.
So NASCAR has thrown the caution flag to make sure that the track has not had any fluids laid down by the Little Trees machine. Maybe a little sap out of that car after letting the engine let go.
Todd Bodine did not want to see this caution, folks. They're going, you know, 6 laps to go. Why does this have to happen now? Biffle, on the other hand, this gives him one more chance.
The pace car is going to be pulling off onto pit road. They'll be completing lap 197 at the green flag. Leaves 3 laps to go, single file, because we're under 10 laps to go. 10 cars on the lead lap, led by Todd Bodine and Greg Biffle. Tony Raines is third, Scott Wimmer fourth, Scott Riggs fifth, Jamie Murray sixth, seventh, Kerry Earnhardt. Then it's Kenny Wallace, Shane Hall, Ricky Hendrick. Here we're getting set to restart this race.
All right, there's a line up here on the outside wall. It'll be in this area, and that'll be where they're supposed to restart.
All right, so Todd Bodine on the restart. Green flag comes out. Bodine gets a little bit of a jump on the Ranger Ford of Biffle as they pour off into turn number 1. Tony Raines finds himself a battle for the third spot with Scott Wimmer. But Todd Bodine now, here is Biffle looking to his inside as they move on to the back straightaway.
Biffle got a great run out of turn number 2 there, and Bodine did on the inside. Bodine didn't have a choice. He was running the outside groove. Oh, Todd got up out of the groove there. That right there is going to cost him the race.
And they come back down to the line, 2 laps to go. Todd Bodine, 2 car lengths in back of Greg Biffle, a gap that is growing. So Greg Biffle takes an opportune yellow flag, may turn it into another victory. You know, see out the back view, he's pulling away from Bodine. Biffle locked on the bottom of the racetrack. Todd Bodine not nearly as fast. And then just behind them, you see a battle for 4th spot. Scott Riggs trying to move underneath the Siemens Pontiac. It looks like for Scott Wimmer.
You know, they put a little bit of speedy drive down there. That was the reason they had the caution. I wouldn't be surprised if Todd picked up some of that running high through 1 and 2 on the restart.
Todd Bodine now trying to mount a final challenge. They're down to the stripe. The white flag is now flying at Kentucky. Side by side, the battle for 4th. Wimmer on the outside. Scott Riggs on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like Riggs will grab the spot. Here are the lead machines coming out of turn number 2 for the final time. Todd Bodine picked up a lot of ground as they hustle down the back straightaway. He'll take one last shot. Bodine now looking to the high side of Greg Biffle. Trouble. Jay Sauter has hit the wall. The caution flag is out. Here's the lead machine. Bodine on the outside.
Touch once, twice.
Down to the stripe as they bang. Biffle out of control. And
I can tell.
Stripe, it looks like Todd Bodine, by 36 thousandths of a second, has won it. They hit once, twice, 3 times, and then again, Biffle's car cocked sideways, and when it did, perhaps the nose of Todd Bodine's machine beat him to the start-finish line. And what a big win for Todd Bodine, the first of 2002, the 14th for his career, and man, what a finish here at Kentucky.
I guess that was a great finish. I need to see it again. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced yet that he won. I've got to see this.
On the NASCAR scoring computer, Todd Bodine has been listed the winner by 0.036 of a second. And what a great finish. Todd Bodine on the high side. Let's take a look at a replay. As they work their way out of turn number 4, Bodine on the high side, Biffle trying to use up all the racetrack he can.
Well, Todd Bodine's not giving it up an inch either, and they just made contact, and it took a little bit of the air off. I still couldn't tell from that angle, but the computer in NASCAR does say Todd Bodine's the winner.
When he got out of shape, it looked like Biffle's car went at a 45-degree angle. When it did, Todd's car snuck by because he was in a straight line. And man, I don't think either driver has anything to complain about there. Again, Bodine had proved in the late stages of this race he was faster than Biffle. Biffle, a great move on the restart to retake the lead. And Bodine just kept digging. He wouldn't give up. Let's take another look at this thing as we come back to turn number 4. Here's Bodine. Good run out of turn 3 to the high side. Biffle tried to block him, couldn't do it. They touch once, twice, and then the third time you see Biffle's car turning sideways. Bodine's car in a straight line, and that was just enough for the Excedrin Chevrolet to grab the victory. Here's a look out the back bumper of the Greg Biffle machine. And there the car is sideways across the start-finish line. Greg Biffle did all he could do to hold on, but came up just inches short. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett in victory lane.
Todd Bodine, a jubilant Todd Bodine comes out of the car. They looked right in the camera. Ooh, suicide dive off the back of the car. This is going to be a wild celebration, guys, because they have been waiting so long. Been almost a year since these guys have won a race. Todd Bodine coming back around the car. First off, buddy, you earned your money today. What a great effort at the end there. Tell us about it.
Yeah, our car wasn't real good right after restart. Greg knew it. He was going to take advantage of it, and he did. Did exactly what he had to do. I said to hell with that. He ain't going to do that to me. Got a great run. Stuck it on the outside in 3 and 4. Didn't know if it was going to stick. It stuck. Got in the throttle. Had a heck of a race down the front straightaway and beat him. So it's a great day for Excedrin. Herzog Jackson Motorsports. Stan, Reggie, man, wish you guys were here.
Looks like you absolutely made the right decision about whether to stay here or go to Michigan, Todd.
Yeah, we knew we had a good race car. But the deal was, any conflicts, I had to stay here with the 92 Excedrin Chevrolet, and damn glad I did.
Well, we're glad you did, too. What a great finish, one of the best we've had. I'm going to let you guys, Tony Liberati, the crew chief, come in here, giving a big hug to his guy. Tony, I know that when Greg got by him on that restart there that your heart had to sink, but you had faith in him.
I had all kind of faith. I wasn't worried. He said he was going to get him, and he got him. Greg was good on the bottom. We was good on the top. He showed him. He showed him.
Congratulations, guys. Go celebrate. Here's Brett McMillan.
Well, Greg Biffle, let's go over that final lap, man. What a wild one.
Yeah, it was. That last set of tires of my car, the Grange report was really tight. We put a spring rubber in the right rear, and I thought it was going to be really good, but Todd's car really come around. Those guys did a great job over there in the 92. And I was just so tight in the middle of the corner. I couldn't run the top. And I got down in the corner down there at 3 and 4. I saw him on the outside, and I just put it to the mat. Reminds me of Charlotte, a couple weeks back, and that's just all I had. I just, car pushed up. I got into him. It was my fault, but, hopefully, he won the race, and everything's good, but it's exciting for fans and TV.
What's the view from inside the car there coming to the start-finish line?
Well, I was all elbows trying to keep the thing going straight. My car pushed up, and I think he tried to push me down a little bit, to keep me down, and it kind of turned me sideways a little because I was out in front of him a little bit, and I was back and forth. I kind of lost control of it there a little bit, but we were headed for the checkers, so it was okay.
All right, an exciting finish, Greg Biffle. He does have a big smile on his face. We enjoyed watching it. I think he kind of enjoyed it too, Mark.
Absolutely, and I'm just catching my breath after that finish. What a great battle in the final, 1,000 yards between Greg Biffle and Todd Bodine. A look at the unofficial results now popping up. Todd Bodine the winner, followed by Biffle, Tony Raines. Great one for Kerry Earnhardt. Ricky Hendrick battles back to an 8th place finish. Shane Meal, Casey Mears round out the top 20. Look at the rest of the finishing order.
What a class interview that Greg Biffle gave there at the end there. He could have said some things that would make him think, I should have won this race, but instead, he did good.
Thanks to Brett McMillan, Glenn Jarrett, and Chad Little. I'm Mark Darrow saying so long from Kentucky.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, gentlemen, start